What's going on, people? So these right here, I can't even remember how long ago it was that I got these, but I remember seeing them like in a quick little Foot Locker ad, I think it was, you know, one of those things like when you're scrolling through to like see what's coming up for the week. They're like, oh hey, check these out. They were coming soon, right? And I saw them and I was like, oh, that could be cool to have because I do like slides. And at the time, many moons ago, I needed more slides, or at least I thought I did. I probably didn't, you know? And so I thought about it. I was like, okay, I'm going to have to get these at some point, right? I'll put it in the vault and I'll come back to it later. Completely forgot. And then eventually I saw them on Adidas.com or whatever. I'm like, hey, it's those things I saw a while ago. Let's go ahead and do that, right? A couple clicks and here we are. And so now I get to talk about them many months later and let you guys know what I think about them. And it's crazy because like I did the unboxing on Instagram whenever they came in and I have not seen them since. And it is what? It's June 13th now. A lot of time has passed, right? So seeing them today, this morning, taking all the pictures, is basically like the first time I'd ever seen them. That's how it felt, right? So either way, I'm going to go do the quick review and all that. It's not a whole lot to talk about, so I'm just going to get on into it and whatnot. I'm not sure what color they called this. Just brown, and something else. Works for me, right? This right here is the Adidas Adilette Cork Slide in some sort of brown colorway. You saw me read that off the box, so don't question me on it. Either way, let's go ahead and get on into this. It's not going to be like the full in-depth thing because what's there to really talk about, right? So first off, let's go ahead. We're going to get you the bottom side, right? So down there, that's what you're looking at over here, right? It looks pretty decent, and actually it kind of reminds me a lot of the Crepe Hemp Air Max one. I don't know if anybody ever saw those or whatever. I think they're on sale right now because like somehow they have not sold out. I don't know why. They're one of the nicer things in the Air Max 1 world in the last long while. Either way, coming up here from the side, midsole type things, right? So what you're seeing there, a lot of cork type of stuff going on, right? Because it's a cork slide, obviously. So there's that piece of it. And now, of course, another shot or two to be exact, so that way you can kind of see these from a slightly different angle and whatnot. It's nothing you haven't seen. Again, like I always say, it's just a slightly different view. But I like to get this whole video thing rounded out so you can catch these from like a lot of angles and make up your own mind as what you think of them. I just give you some other stuff to think about to kind of like, not to sway your opinion, but to help solidify it, whichever way you're going, right? So anyways, now that that's out of the way, let's jump down in here real quick. So one thing that's a little bit different than the past cork slides that I did, which I have these on so that I remember to bring them out, right? So they didn't have a box to sit them on. So either way, this one right here, right? Looking at the top piece, it looks kind of like it's a little more premium and all that stuff in a way. You got these green dots on here kind of raised up. Not sure what's going on with that. Not a huge fan of it because it feels weird. But I mean, you can't feel it when you're wearing it. So what's it really matter? It doesn't matter. Either way, also in there you got some brown, kind of looks like a fake leather sort of thing going on. It gives these like a bit of a premium sort of look, you know, compared to this one. And the weird thing about that is like these were $60, whereas these were $40. So you would think that the more premium style looking one would cost more, but it doesn't. Weird, right? Then again, at the time, I think this was like their only cork slide offering. So maybe they were just knowing that they could charge more since it was like the one out there, right? And who's going to fall for it? This guy right here. Either way, so moving along past that, that's what's going on up there, right? Another quick comparison thing, because again, not doing a full review, so I'm just going to throw these things out there as I'm thinking about them. Catching this from the inside is a little more easy to see, a little easier to see from that side, right? One of my complaints about these older cork ones was that this piece sits like really high, so when you put your foot in there, you have all this extra room, which is not cool. Not on a slide, because it's not adjustable in any way, you know what I'm saying? At least these aren't. The Alpha Bounces, sure, but not these. So this one, it's a little bit lower, like a lot of bit lower actually, which is nice. It's just high enough in my opinion. And you'll also kind of notice maybe in there that it's a little more padded. So I do like that piece of it. So it's, again, better construction all around, cheaper price. So very cool, at least in my opinion. And past that, as far as like little details and whatnot, on the back side, maybe you notice there is like the Adidas thing, got the little logo, the little plant style thing, or whatever you call that thing. And also, speaking of plants and logos, over here and like where your heel would go or whatever, you also have some sort of, what's that, plant and grow thing going on in there. It's a pretty cool design. And also, I don't know if you caught it, you probably didn't because this box is only from one angle, but the box also has a similar sort of thing going on. It's kind of a cool little box, I'll give it that, right? And I think there was something on the, no, that's the other one. We'll come back to that in the next video, which is also about slides. But either way, so for the most part, that's what's really going on here, right? So I don't think there's too much else to say about these as far as like the looks and all that stuff goes, because I feel like I've covered everything. So I'm going to jump into the personal thoughts thing and then sizing and all that crap. Personally, right, I kind of alluded to it in a way, but I like these a lot more than I liked the previous one. And it's not because like they look better. Well, they do kind of look better, but in some ways. But it's more so just that they were built better, right? So the way they did this upper piece that kind of sits across the top of your foot, huge improvement. So I'm super into that, right? Otherwise, past that, it's just like your standard cork slide if you've ever seen one. So if you haven't, it's nothing to like really run out and get. It's not like, oh my God, these things are super amazing. But if you're looking for slides and you want to try something new, then yeah, give these a shot, because why not, right? It's something different, and you can usually catch them on a sale. And they're pretty decent on the comfort, but we'll come back to that in a minute. But other than that, I mean, if this isn't a look that's for you, don't think that wearing them is going to sway you, because they're not, again, they're not that amazing. They're just, I like them, right? It's kind of a cool visual. I like cork. I'm a simple dude, right? So don't overthink it. If you see these in a store or something and you're thinking about trying them on or whatever, at least do that, you know, see what you think about them, and then make your decision from there. But otherwise, and don't pay over retail, or don't pay retail, because again, these things are on sale a lot. Either way, so that's pretty much it as far as like the sizing, or not the sizing, but as far as like the personal thoughts goes, because there's not a whole lot to say like I kind of said before. And one thing that is kind of weird to me though, like I did this review like a long time ago, and somebody commented on it recently saying, oh, like it's good to finally see a review of these or whatever, these like cork tropical slides. And I was like, this thing's been out for 2 years. Like, what do you mean finally see it? Like, this was like 2 weeks ago, right? It's crazy to me. Either way, let's talk about some sizing so I can move on. Sizing wise, right? I bought these true to size, more or less, right? Because they only came in whole sizes, and since they don't have a 9.5, I usually go with 9, because that's just what makes sense, right? So either way, they fit how I expected them to fit. Again, I didn't know that they were going to have like the retooled upper piece, so I'm super into that. It makes them a nice, more snug sort of fit, right? Not so loose. And I did not care for that loosey-goosey fit. Either way, so moving on past that though, the other thing that's kind of nice about these is that it's cork, right? So while it might start off kind of stiff and all that stuff, they do break in over time. The thing about that is just like wearing them. So if you put on a pair of these and you're thinking to yourself like, this is super uncomfortable or this is stiff or whatever, I mean, you might just have to give it time. There's a possibility you might just not like it, right? There is that. But if you give it some time, the thing kind of molds around to your foot and all that good stuff. And after that point, it's pretty nice. And also on the bottom, one of the things that's cool is like I was saying about those crepe hemps or whatever. This piece down here, this gummish type bottom, whatever you want to call that, it really absorbs a lot of like the impact. So when you're walking, it doesn't feel like you're just stomping everywhere, which is cool. Gives it a nice feel. So overall, these things are more comfortable than they look, because they certainly don't look like they'd be all that comfortable to some people, and I totally get it. But past that though, I mean, it's also a slide, right? So I don't wear these outdoors, I wear them only inside, but if you are one that wears your slides outside, I think this is probably something that you'll be able to get behind, because again, like you got some crazy breathability on account of like all the openness, obviously. And then with the way the upper is, the water, I would assume, if it rains, should just kind of roll right off. It's still going to pool up down here in the footbed type area, but that's a you problem, not a me problem, so deal with that on your own time. But otherwise, as far as everything goes, just looking at these and all that good stuff, yeah, I think that it's a good look. It's a pretty good feel, so I think your average person that picks a pair of these up should be okay with it. But again, that whole sizing thing can be a little tricky, so just try any other pair of slides on and from Adidas, which are definitely in stock everywhere, and see for sure which one you want to do, if you want to go up or down. But I go down, because it's just what makes sense. Either way, I think that's about enough out of me as far as like all the sizing and comfort of these things. So I'm just going to wrap that piece up, get moved on, because like I said, I got some other videos to do. 2, actually. Actually, one other thing that I'm going to add in here real quick. As much as I do like these, if you are looking for an actual pair of slides, like my number one thing that I recommend to mostly anybody is just a straight Adidas Adilette Slide. They come in like a million colors. I think the retail is like $30, but you can usually find them like even on Adidas like 2 for 30 or something like that, or even just one that's just straight 50% off, you know. Either way, you get some good deals on them. They're super comfortable, very disposable because they're so cheap, and they've got a color for everybody. So that is my number one pick if anybody's looking for like an actual pair of slides, you know. These things are just like the nice to haves or whatever. And they still aren't my personal favorite. That's probably still sitting somewhere between the Adilette 22 and the Air Max 90 slide. Kind of depends on the day on which one I'd say is number one. Either way, from me to you, have a nice rest of your day or rest of your night, whatever it is, wherever you are. I have a pair of Asics Actibreeze 3Ds to talk about. That's been a long time coming. So I'm going to go do that. Later, people.